Welcome to A Course in Business Miracles. This is Heather Dominic, creator of businessmiracles.com and founder and leader of the highly sensitive entrepreneur movement. Join me today for some genuine practical assistance and a business-altering and life-changing experience, a business miracle. This is A Course in Business Miracles, episode number 49. HSE Feature with Jessica Procini. Welcome to this Business Miracles HSE Feature episode. I am just really thrilled to be featuring Jessica Procini as a member of the Business Miracles community and as a highly sensitive entrepreneur. Jessica, aside from being a valued member of the Business Miracles community, is an emotional eating healer and the founder of Escape from Emotional Eating. She is on a mission to help others use food as fuel rather than a way to cope, soothe, or escape their busy, stressful life. Jessica consciously created and specifically designed Escape from Emotional Eating from her own emotional eating journey because Overeaters Anonymous didn't resonate and therapy wasn't enough when it came to getting help to fully end her fight with food. Now, being 100% free from her compulsions with food, she helps others do the same through all her levels of support, such as her retreats, called The Escape, her year-long transformational programs, and through her various public talks, events, and workshops. Jessica has been awarded the Top Health Coach Award by the Institute of Psychology of Eating 3 years in a row. Listen in as I talk with Jessica, who intimately shares how in just 5 years she went from hustling and organizing her kitchen drawer, you're going to love this story, being financially supported by her parents and making only $35,000 a year, to now making multiple six figures in her business for multiple years consistently as a highly sensitive entrepreneur. Welcome, Jessica. I'm so glad you're here today.
Thank you for having me, Heather.
Yay! So welcome to the Business Miracles HSE Feature. And I am just really thrilled to be featuring you as a member of the Business Miracles community and as a highly sensitive entrepreneur. So I'd love for you to start by, sharing with listeners just a little bit about how you first connected to A Course in Business Miracles and found out that you were a highly sensitive entrepreneur and, how this whole journey started for you.
Yeah, sure. So my beginning of A Course in Business Miracles journey is quite hilarious now that I think back on it. But I first connected with you through a friend who said to me at the time, let me back up and say at that time I was in my business for 2 years, and my business then was primarily focused around health, nutrition, and weight loss, and had invested over $100,000 in mismatched support and mentoring. I had really reached this point in my business and in my life where I swore off of all support. So when my friend mentioned you, and then she mentioned, Jessica, I think you're highly sensitive, I was automatically, no, I'm not. I don't want another program. I don't want more support. All of this is absolutely ridiculous. No. And my friend just kept gently being no, I really think you should connect with Heather. I'm going to introduce you to her. And I remember she introduced us, and I sort of just went along with having a call with you. This is how resistant I was, just to sort of almost get you off my back a little bit. I was so resistant. And I remember canceling and rescheduling that call 3 times because I just was so resistant and really deeply rooted into this place of like, I can't be successful and I've tried everything and like, there's just no way. And I remember our conversation when I finally did get on the phone with you, and still surprised that we had that call after I canceled on you so many times. But I remember standing in my kitchen and you just asking just such a direct, to the point question. And it literally like changed everything. Like I always think back to that moment of like, if that moment never happened, I don't know where I would be.
Wow. Yes. Well, of course, I remember all of that so clearly as well, and just had such an intuitive sense that you and I were meant to connect, and kind of found all of the rescheduling humorous, actually. And I was just like, oh, well, we'll just see when this actually, comes to be, because I know we're meant to connect. And I also always find it so interesting about that story, that you were in your kitchen, because the work that you do is about, supporting others with escaping from emotional eating. And I know that you've told the story where at that moment in the kitchen, you were like distracting yourself, right? Like you were like straightening out like your clutter drawer or something, I think, right?
Yeah, a drawer that I never opened. I was reorganizing a drawer because I was so anxious. Like I was so anxious and so scared, I think was the energy that was underneath it. Like I was so scared and was like trying to like defend and like, no, I have this all figured out. I'll be fine. Like I don't need help. And like, just like, and that's what I so value about our continued relationship and coaching and mentoring, is that you just get to the point and just cut through a lot of the clutter.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for that. And so along those lines, let's flash forward. So first of all, how many years have you been in the Business Miracles community now?
So I have crossed the 5-year mark. So I'm entering into my 6th year together. Yeah.
Yay. And which mentoring program are you in? Just so others know. Obviously, I know.
I'm in the Eminence program, but I'll also say that I started my journey here in the Elite program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And most importantly, so what are things like in your business now, coming from that time of having invested over 6 figures in other coaching mismatched programs and being in that, frustrated, resistant, distract yourself with the clutter drawer place, and give us a sense of, where are you in your business at this point?
So in that place over 5 years ago, I invested all of this money that I didn't have. And I was 2 years into my business and I was making less than $35,000 a year. And I was doing my business full time and I couldn't pay my own bills. I was being financially supported by my parents and feeling a tremendous amount of guilt and shame of being an adult and having to rely on my parents. And my work also at that time, as I said before, was really focused around diet and weight loss. And now, over 5 years later, my work is really, I would call it like in integrity with my mission, and has shifted to really focus on emotional eating, which I am so passionate about. And from like a financial figures, I've been completely financially independent from my parents, from any type of debt as well, for multiple years. And I now am making multiple 6 figures in my business and have been making that for multiple years consistently. So a completely different snapshot of where I was back then and where I am now. And I have to say, I feel so much happier and I can sleep at night, which is something also that was not happening back when I was just hustling and organizing my kitchen drawer because I was so anxious.
Yes. Well, yay and yay. It just continues to be such an honor to mentor you and to be with you as you do travel the business miracles journey and path as a highly sensitive entrepreneur, and really continuously witness you just be so consistently dedicated to really learning and growing for yourself and really truly on this path of independent empowerment, and especially as a person who's highly sensitive. And I just so love, mentoring with you and seeing and witnessing all of this growth. And so what would you say is maybe one of the teachings that you've received, through my mentoring and the Business Miracles mentoring programs that has been most impactful for you, that has supported you with really being able to go from where you are to where you were to where you are now, and the continued growth path that you're on? What's been most helpful?
So I think there's really a number of them. It's really hard to just pick one, but I remember the thing that was most impactful from the very beginning and really continues to be most impactful in my business and my life today are your energy management tools and the teaching around energy management. And we keep coming back to this image of me standing in the kitchen organizing my drawer because I was so anxious. And what the energy management tools really taught me was how to manage my anxiety, which was something that was never, ever talked about in the hundreds of hours I spent in therapy, but also to really manage my fear and my fear of taking risks in my business, my fear of what will people think of me, my fear of what if this doesn't work, so much fear that has been managed because of those tools and because of your teachings and support. And back then I had no idea that was what was going on for me. I wouldn't have been able to say, oh, I was deeply anxious and fearful in my business. But now looking back, compared to where I am now, whoa, fear ran my business. And it is so not my experience of that anymore. And then I would say the next teaching that was really powerful, right from the get-go, was the P2P process, the prospects to profits. And I remember having my first round of P2Ps and being very scared of I don't know how to do this. And I remember you were like, you do know how to do this and you can do this, Jessica. And I was like, okay. And I remember just implementing, doing it, so imperfectly, but just doing it. And I think I had enrolled 3 or 4 clients within a week, and that was $20,000 in my business within a month. And it was just what is going on? This is awesome.
Yes, I totally remember that. Yeah, that was the beginning of so much to come. I so appreciate all these points that you're bringing forward, because I think you've really hit on, some really important aspects for so many HSEs, the fear running your business, and really appreciate that phrase. And then selling, which, in the Business Miracles community, when we talk about P2Ps, we're really talking about the HSE selling success system and just how to go about that. And I also really appreciate that you have mentioned, that you were willing to implement imperfectly. And all of those pieces are so important because we do have a lot of fear. Just as highly sensitives in general, we're so used to feeling like the odd one out in the world, and we're so used to trying to protect ourselves from experiencing overwhelm or being hurt in any way. And then you add in the element of being self-employed, and that fear just, ricochets off the charts. And then you add in selling, oh my gosh, right? Where you have to talk to somebody and put yourself in a place where you could experience, very clear, direct sense of rejection. It's absolutely terrifying. So again, I so appreciate you speaking to that so directly in regards to your own experience, and that the energy management tools and the way that I teach selling, and I would say even the ways that we talk about not getting caught in the HSE shadow of perfectionism, that all three of those have really supported you and continue to support you. It's something you still use, consistently. Am I right about that?
Yeah, everything that I'm sharing, is everything that I still do to this day. I still manage my energy. The energy management tools that you teach, that you taught over 5 years ago, I still use the P2P process. I still do everything that you originally taught me. And yet there's been so many levels and layers to it that it's not just about getting the tools and getting the systems and going on your merry way. It's really about the deeper work. I just don't even really know how to describe it, but it's really about this deeper understanding of who you are and how you're meant to serve and your mission in the world, and just staying with it no matter what.
Yeah, for sure. And that is so important for us highly sensitives, because if we are really invested in creating, sustainable financial success, as you have done for yourself and continue to do for yourself, then it absolutely must be that deep process of retraining, right? Of how we look at ourselves, who we think we are, how we show up in the world and in our business included as part of that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the element in the Business Miracles mentoring programs that is one of the core elements that I have really discovered is absolutely imperative for our success as HSEs, and that is the element of community. So community is such an important part of all of the Business Miracles mentoring programs, and I'd love to just hear a little bit about what you find to be most valuable about being a part of the Business Miracles community of highly sensitive entrepreneurs.
Yeah. So I remember saying to you in that conversation years ago, being really scared to be in community. And I remember saying something I'm afraid these people are going to be weird. And just so worried that I was going to get lost and not fit in, and these people are going to be different than me. I'm not going to be understood. And now, being in the Business Miracles community, it's such a place where I can just really take off these layers of, I don't know, almost these layers that are not really me. And I think the value of the Business Miracles community is really, number one, that we can be highly sensitive, right? We can talk about things and how they affect us as sensitive people, but really from this empowered place of I'm highly sensitive, and here's how I'm going to manage the situation, instead of I'm highly sensitive and I'm a victim to my circumstances. So I think that's like number one is like, I'm highly sensitive and here's how I'm empowered in an empowered way going to create my life to support that and to support me and my strengths. And then like just because we are highly sensitive, I just really feel like the support from the community is so deeply intuitively connected. Like, for example, I think it was even like over a year ago, I was like sharing something like I wanted to be traveling to the beach more because I find that to be really restorative. And I was just really grappling with it. And it wasn't even you, it was another member of the community of our eminence group. And she was like, I really feel like you're meant to live at the beach. And I remember I just like completely broke down in tears, and it was like she could understand my real desire, something that I wasn't allowing myself to speak anywhere else because I just felt like it was impossible. And then I actually just posted on the forum earlier today saying like, oh my gosh, this is coming true because for the next 9 months, I'm going to be going to the beach and I'm going to be creating from the beach. I have my retreats at the beach. Like, oh my gosh, that thing that I talked about and just planted in the community over a year ago is now happening in my life. And that would have never happened if I was not in a community of highly sensitive people who are empowered and who are willing to create their life and their business in a different way.
So beautifully said. It's so, so true. It's such an opportunity to, feel a sense of safety and being seen and, allowing yourself to really be seen as you described in that story about the beach and then being able to take that back out into your business, back out into the world. So I so appreciate the way that you spoke to that. So just as we get ready to wrap, just two other questions for you. One, why 5 years and why do you continue to stay on the Business Miracles path and in the community and be dedicated to this journey for yourself?
So I have a hard time answering that question because it's sort of like a no-brainer that I would stay in this community and continue working with you specifically, Heather, because it has transformed my life and my business in so many ways. And I remember like going from year 1 to year 2 and just knowing, like just having this inner knowing, like I am meant to be here and I'm meant to continue this work. And like, I can't imagine doing this work in any other way without this kind of support. Like it just wouldn't happen. And even if I tried to tell myself like, oh, I'll be fine without the support, like that is just absolutely insane. That's insane. So like, I just really have this knowing that like, this is the community I'm meant to be a part of. Heather, for sure, is my mentor. And like, there are so many levels and layers to the work. Like I said, it's not just about collecting tools and then implementing them. It's about all the stuff that comes up when we're implementing the tools and doing the marketing and trying to create what we want to create is where the support really comes in for me and why I continue to invest in this support for myself and for my mission and even for my life.
I would say beautifully said. So yeah, really, really spot on. Thank you so much for sharing so beautifully and so genuinely. And then from there, what advice do you have for other HSEs who are listening in and maybe in that space where they're, organizing their kitchen drawer right now as they're listening to this podcast and feeling that fear and trying to distract themselves from what's needed to fulfill their life's mission, what would you say?
I would say, it sounds so trite, but I'll say you can do it. I know that when I first connected with Heather, I didn't know I was highly sensitive. And I spent years trying to be successful without my sensitivities leading the way. And I think what you've really taught me, Heather, is not only can my sensitivities lead the way, they need to lead the way. They are the path to success. They are the path to being in business and being successful and at peace. And I just, I often think about people who know they're highly sensitive, but aren't allowing that to lead the way. And even just start to get upset about it because why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you allow these sensitivities to be your strengths and work in a way that is it just feels so easeful, full of ease. So I guess boiling it down, it would be you can do it. You can have your sensitivities work for you and for your business instead of against you. And that's what I've really learned from you, Heather, and from A Course in Business Miracles. And you always say, we need more highly sensitive people in their missions. And I truly believe that too.
Yes. Beautiful. So well said. Thank you so much. And where can listeners find out more about you and the great work that you are doing in the world as a highly sensitive entrepreneur?
Sure. So you can find me at escapefromemotionaleating.com. escapefromemotionaleating.com.
Beautiful. Jessica, thank you so much for being our HSE feature. And again, it's just such an honor to be your mentor and to continue to watch and witness your growth and, again, just the incredible service that you're providing to the world, your clients, through your business. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Heather. I'm so grateful for you and the work that you do. And I just really hope that what we talked about today is helpful for the people who are listening as well.
For sure. To be continued. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of A Course in Business Miracles. If you're ready to learn how to use your highly sensitive abilities to support you in being purposeful, profitable, and empowered rather than scattered, poor, and undervalued, take my free self-quiz to find out if you are indeed a highly sensitive entrepreneur. And if you are, along with your quiz results, you'll receive my free HSE Success Guide, which will teach you how to have your highly sensitive abilities working for you to create the results you desire in your business. Take the quiz and receive your free success guide now at www.hsequiz.com.